Om Shanti, everyone, and welcome to Harmony House. Special welcome this evening to Zoomers and to those of you who have come in person for a very special holiday. So, yes, we are celebrating Rocky tonight, and we're so happy to have all of you because tonight, in addition to the toli that you always receive on the way out, we have special gifts, as most of you know. As many of you know, we are celebrating today the purity, the attempt to be pure in relationships, in thought, word, and deed. The attempt to stay, and if you are a regular here, you know we talk about soul consciousness versus body consciousness. So to stay in your higher self. And we're going to ask you to do that all evening as we go up one at a time, whoever wishes to receive the Rocky. I've been to Peace Village. I have too, this past few weeks. And you will receive a tilak. And we hope that this evening is as wonderful for you as my 2 evenings have been for me this past few weeks at Peace Village. Speaking of Peace Village, which we talk about all the time, our beautiful, very beautiful upstate New York retreat. We have a special guest tonight who will be speaking to you, and she is Sister Kala, who is the director of Peace Village. So I would like to introduce her to you right now. Sister Kala, welcome to Harmony House. And thank you for gracing us this evening. Om Shanti. So,
Om Shanti, everyone. And a very, very good evening to all of you. Special evening. And of course, Louis has laid the foundation for the evening. What is so special about this evening? Every Thursday must be special for those who come here Thursdays, right? But today is extra special. And of course, Louis talked about how beautiful Peace Village is. And I was just sitting here and admiring how beautiful this hall is. So lovely, right? Very, very pure in its vibrations. I'm sure you must have felt that, or you feel it all the time. So yes, tonight is a very beautiful evening. And we are talking about limitless love, something we really can talk about. Can we talk about love? Is it something that you can convey by talking about it? Yes, maybe. Because I think everyone in this hall must have felt this feeling or emotion of love at some point in their life, right? Anybody who hasn't? I'm sure you're not going to tell us, even if you didn't. But it's such a prevalent, basic, common, such a necessary part of life, important part of life, to feel love. Whether it is love that you feel from someone else, or whether it is love that you feel for someone or something even. And if I were to tell you to go back in your memory lane and remember a moment of love, a recent moment of love, not too far, far away, but maybe yes, maybe even far, far away in your memory. I'm sure it's very easy for every one of you to do that. Want to take a minute to do that? Go back in your memory lane. Maybe you don't have to go too far, maybe you do, but that moment of love that you can recall. And shouldn't have taken that long, right? How did that feel? Hmm? How did it feel? Any one word you can kind of just put out? Pure connection. Anybody else? Anything else? I think somebody's trying to bring a mic over. Anything else? If you can be loud enough, you can go ahead. Joy. You felt joy along with love. Mhm. Say that again. Peace with love. Yes, it brought you the sense of peace. You felt open. Mhm. Warm. Warm. Very nice. Warm. Happiness. Mhm. Anything else? You felt calm. Safe. I'm sure there's a lot more that's going to come out if I really wait long enough, because it is such a rich feeling, isn't it? And that's why I said it probably cannot be put in words. Some of you are not saying it because you don't know how to put it in words, because words are so limiting. You can only say so much through words. But when it's a genuine feeling of love, you don't have to say anything. You perhaps even don't have to do anything. No? Don't have to. But you end up saying something, you end up doing something because it's just, you just want to express it in the way that you know best. Because we've been taught from very little that if you love someone, you tell them, I love you, right? And I come from a culture where I've never used those words growing up. Mom, I love you. I never used those words. Or anybody for anyone else, for example. Of course, the culture became much different later on, but we were not used to expressing to our parents, for example, that I love you, or they didn't tell me I love you. But it came in many different ways, of course, in the way that you would look at them, in the way that, you would run to them, in the way that everything, just was exchanged selflessly, such a rich feeling. And so I'm really trying to say that how do you connect the two? Because from being that feeling that you really cannot describe in any physical way, it goes beyond all the physical descriptions. we've come to a point of actually measuring love through physical ways, in terms of true enough. For example, I would think that if someone didn't spend enough time with me, for example, I would feel that that person doesn't love me, right? It's a very natural consequential feeling that, because this person didn't come to see me, or this person didn't spend enough time with me, even when he came, she came, whatever. So in one respect, it may be true that yes, when there is love, you can go beyond all kinds of barriers and limitations, and you can break those barriers and say, what the hell, I'm going to spend more time with you. But on the other hand, it may not be necessary, or it may be impossible for that person to, whatever. And yet, should we be holding that against someone, right? So I want you to think about, how do we measure love? How do we interpret love? How do we sense love? How do we share love so that we can truly think about limitless love? Because here we are today to talk about not just love in an ordinary sense of the word, but we're talking about limitless, which means going beyond all the physical limits to be able to feel and sense this feeling of love, the emotion of love. And I'm sure you've gotten the trend already that we are really talking about what Louise was referring to in the beginning of the program, something called pure love. You would say that love is love. What is there about pure love? But love can be mixed up with many different other feelings as well, which may take away from that sense of love. And so we really need to kind of, weed out all those extra things that we have put together in a basket and are calling it as love. That love could be something to do with a need, a very self-motivated need, for example. It could be mixed with something that I am identifying with, in a wrong way. It could be something that is mixed with what we famously call here as attachment, right? I'm attached to somebody, something, for whatever reason. And there may be a little bit of love there, of course, but the purity of love is what we're talking about today. That how do we go back to this very, very pure emotion or feeling of love that comes from a very spiritual source? Because that is the source of love. The body is not a source of love, right? It doesn't come from the eyes, the ears, the hands, and the feet, and all of that. But it comes from the living being in this body, this feeling of love. So how do we really, minus all the other things that we have added on? For example, if this person looks like this, then I cannot feel this love for this person. Going back to the skin color maybe, or going back to how this person acts maybe, or whatever. So we limit that pure emotion, feeling of love that comes from that spiritual source by mixing it up with all kinds of physical things, right? But love is, in its purest form, is limitless. Doesn't see anything of physical. It doesn't see anything of time. It doesn't see anything of distance. It can surpass all of those things. how many times you would have thought of somebody that you love and you were lost in that memory or that, feeling of love, and that person calls you, right? Your thoughts were able to travel so fast that the thoughts reached that person and that person called you back. So did we have to depend on a phone? I mean, on something physical? Your thoughts traveled even faster. Right? And how many times have you felt, that, even now when you thought of that moment of love, I'm sure you transcended time. It was as if it was happening today, now, at this moment, right? Whatever moment you were remembering, whoever person you were remembering, whatever was happening between the two of you. But you felt it's right now. So that feeling, is like an eternal thing. It transcends time, it transcends distance, physical distance, it transcends any kind of memory of physical things. And so pure love. And that is what actually the substance of our soul is all about. If I can use that word substance, because the soul is not a substance, it's not matter. Of course, the body we think of as, organs, and then the organs are made of so many molecules and so many atoms and so many this and that, But if you go to the very minuscule unit of, the body, the matter, they say there's nothing there, right? In the same way, with this living being that we're talking about, the soul, the unit of life, what is it made out of? Can you really quantitate it or calculate it or, specify what it is? And of course, scientists are beginning to, get a little bit of clarity, but not really. But through experience in our spiritual practices and meditation, we can really get a very clear picture of what that source of life, the self, is all about. And for a lot of us, it came as an experience of love, right? Somebody said peace, of course. Somebody said joy, but these are the original qualities of life. And of all the qualities that we really earn for, I think, in life today, love is probably the most prevalent one that we all seek. Of course, peace. But on a day-to-day basis, I think it's love that we feel is that we attribute to so many things in life. And I was particularly thinking of, we talk about three different aspects of what life involves, what life is all about. It's about creation, right? Creating something. So it's love that creates anything. It's a creative force. And so when you are in touch with yourself as the source of love, as the soul, then you begin to see so many possibilities, so much potential that you want to create something. It doesn't have to be create in the sense of, you don't have to be an artist to create or something like that. But it's just such a fresh, generative, creative energy that you get it, all of a sudden you get a fresh thought, possible. Oh yes, this is possible. This is possible. Things that you used to think of as, oh, this is not, it's very difficult or it's not possible. But when you're in that moment of love, everything becomes possible. Okay? It's a creative energy. Parents create their children. Why? Out of love, right? You create something new out of what? You're in that moment of love. right? So it's full of that creative potential, possibilities. And when you come absolutely to what do you call a dead end street, and you think that there's no solution to this problem whatsoever, you stay quiet, you connect, and you come up with a possible solution. What is that coming from? From that feeling of love, right? It's all of a sudden, it's kind of opening doors for you. So it's a creative force, of course. It's also a very sustaining force in life. Not only you create something and you forget about it forever. Some things that you create, you have to stay with it. It doesn't happen all, immediately. But you have to stay with it. You have to understand it better. You're trying to get somewhere and it's just not happening. You know there is a solution, but it's not, happening the way or as fast as you want it. But you stay with it. You sustain it for some time, isn't it? And so what does that take? It means that you have to use a lot of patience during that time where you create and where you see it actually happening. You need to have patience. So love is the one that kind of generates that patience too. It's there, in the soul. But instead of giving up, it says, okay, stay with it. Stay with it, stay with it, sustain. And this is what we see mostly in parents, little children. It's very nice when they create little children but when they're growing up, you have to stay with that same love, right? And what does that take? It takes a lot of everything, but most importantly, it takes a lot of patience to see your children grow and grow well, and to give them the kind of upbringing that you want to give them, understand them. So there is a lot of sustenance also that love provides. And then love has to also destroy. In other words, you have to forget, certain things from your memory, or you have to erase certain things from your memory whatsoever that was not, pleasant, if there is true love. Otherwise, you can hold on to it, and you can hold on to it, and you can hold on to it, and it's not a sign of love. Right? So somewhere within your own system, you have to be able to do all of these things, create something new, sustain what you've created, and you have to also destroy whatever is not, helping you to grow, helping the idea to grow, or helping the relationship to grow, or whatever. So limitless love is about all these things. So if not one, then the other. If not that one, then the other. So we should try a different permutation combination, because at different times in our life, we have to create. At different times, we have to sustain an idea. At different times, we have to really let go of old memories of a relationship and create, have something new. So if ever you find that love is coming to that dead end, then try, we should remember that it's a dynamic force. It's not something that is static, and I can say, oh, it was like this 10 years ago, but it's not like this now. Why is it not like this now? Because everything changes. So as everything changes, then I have to also adapt. I have to understand why it has changed. But it's not that there's no love, but it's coming in a different form. This is what children always say, that, okay, mom, when I was little, you had to be my mommy. and you had to tell me what to do, what not to do, and all of that. But now I'm grown up. I need a friend. Can you just be my friend? Right? This is what young girls, young boys, when they grow up, they say. But mom wants to be mom all the time. Doesn't work. Many times it doesn't work. Of course, you still have to be mom in certain ways and look out for them and everything, but certain things change, But love can mold, love can adapt. It can, change its, the way you express it and all of that. So when you talk of limitless love, you have to think that it's so vast, it's so adaptable, and it's so endless, right? And this is what true love, pure love is all about. But when we have other things that are mixed in it, the physical aspect of love or any kind of attachment to, so to speak, that's coming from my own wrong sense of identity, and I'm kind of mixing it up with, loving that person, then of course we encounter all kinds of problems. Now comes the point of, where do I find such pure love? Right? Where is the source of such a pure love? Is there a source that can kind of, give me so much love in whatever shape and form I want it? I can get it. I can get it in the form of just acceptance. I can get it in the form of, gently coaching me, coaxing me, coaching me, guiding me. I can get it in the form of really caring for me, providing for me, protecting me, showing me all the ifs and the buts of life, and really teaching me that the rules of the game of life, right? Where can I get all of that? It's only one, right? The one source that we've been talking about is this source, the soul. But even this soul here, if it is not in the right awareness that I am a spiritual being and I am an embodiment of love, I have enough love to give. If I'm not aware of that, I can run out of that love very soon. And this is what we believe is happening to the world today. Across the world, everyone is running out of love. It's true love, pure love, spiritual love. And why is that? It's because we have forgotten who we are, that we are made up of this substance of love. We've forgotten that. We've tried to kind of look out for it and get from there and share, on that physical level. But we've forgotten that we are that. And so there comes a time when everyone in the world forgets. And why did we forget? Because we are human, they may say. Right? Being human means remembering and forgetting, remembering and forgetting. So we have to remember again who we are truly. That we are such a pure being of light, conscient light, full of love, full of peace, full of joy, all those beautiful qualities that you felt in that moment. We need someone who can remind us. And if we ourselves have forgotten, we can't remind each other, can we? So we need that one being that never, never, ever, ever forgets about love. And we call that one God, the divine, the supreme, the source, not in a human form, but also in a pure, subtle spiritual form. Because as soon as we say God, that means lots of figures and images come into our mind. That's our upbringing of who God is. But when we say God, for this particular purpose at least, we're remembering that pure point of light, just like we are pure point of light. We also remember God as that pure point of light, complete, complete, complete with love, overflowing with pure love. And not just for you, not just for me, not just for a few souls, not just limiting to one religion, one part of the world. No, everyone across the world, every soul connected to that one source. Okay. Yes, of course, we can give this imaginary relationship. I must say it's imaginary because he didn't really create us as children, but the child and the parent relationship. Because why? Because that's the purest, the highest love that we have ever felt in life. Right? The love of parents who have created us. So in the same way, this is the soul that has the highest love for me as a soul. And so there comes, as I said, when everyone forgets, there comes a time when that soul enters our life and reminds us of who we are. So that we ourselves can start to feel that self-love. The first person I have to start feeling love for is my own self. But somebody has to show me who I am, that I can love myself. Yeah. So the highest form of love really is if you can show to a person their own beauty, their own divine nature, okay? Their own specialities. So God comes to our life to also reveal to us our divine nature, our pure nature, that we are all embodiments of peace and love and joy, and we are beautiful, sparkling stars of light. And if you can really accept that, the first thing that you feel is a lot of love for yourself, lot of love for yourself. Not because of how you look, not because, you've done something great, not because you have passed an exam, not because you have achieved, something, or you have just acquired a new house or whatever it may be, but just because of who you are. Beautiful, sparkling point of light. So this is what he wants us to do, to sit with this idea for just a few minutes so that we can truly feel who we are and we can feel that love. Even if you can't feel God's love, but take God's words for it, that you are a pure and beautiful soul. This is what he's telling all of us. Can we accept it? Yes. Maybe I got angry today. Maybe I've been a terrible child as a child or whatever, maybe I have lots of little weaknesses. It doesn't matter. We're still beautiful souls in front of God's eyes. So this is this is the beginning of our journey of love that we have to accept. From the ocean of love, who knows everything about everyone, not that he doesn't know me or he doesn't, recognize my weaknesses or anything, but that's not what he focuses on. He knows that's not how I was created. Those are not my original habits or sanskars or whatever. My original habits and scars are of divinity, of purity, of peace, of love. And that's how he sees me, and that's how he wants me to see myself too. So, since we are all gathered here to not just talk about unlimited love, but also to feel that unlimited love. And we're also doing it in the context of this beautiful celebration of Raksha Bandhan, which really helps us to establish that connection, which helps us to accept myself as a pure soul from God. What is it that prevents me from accepting myself as a pure, loving soul, beautiful soul? Is my own actions, is my own past, is my own way of, thinking and speaking and doing. And, in other words, in my own eyes, I have let myself down. But now I want to rise up. So what should I be doing? I should also be not, in addition to believing that I'm a pure soul, what else should I be doing? I should also be looking at how would I act as a pure soul? What kind of language would I speak as a pure soul? What would I be thinking as a pure soul? Right? We also have to examine that, check that. And that means that at least I can't do anything about what I have done up to now, right? But from this moment on, I can start to make changes about how I act, how I interact, how I speak to people, how I, think about people, how I look at people, what kind of thoughts I have. I can change a little bit at a time, at least. Can't I? Yes. And some of us, many of us, I should say, we all have some very strong traits, this is how I am, this is how I do things, this is how I don't do it. Some good, some bad. If we have a lot of good traits, great, keep them, cherish them, keep them with you. Continue with that. But if you have any traits that either you have noticed or some others have noticed and remarked from time to time, or you yourself know that I have suffered because of this, or I have hurt other people because of this, take a mental note, right? Those are areas that I can change. If I'm really a pure soul, let me act like one. Let me speak like one. Let me think like one. I need to also prove it to myself and prove it to God. Right? So this festival or this ceremony of Raksha Bandhan is about both these things. One is to accept that I am a pure soul and I'm a child of God who is ever pure, ever pure. So purity is actually my inheritance from God. If God is my parent, I am a child, He's given me purity as an inheritance. And the second part of the Raksha Bandhan is to look at you don't have to do a big, long, journey into your life, but just look at yourself as you stand today. Maybe some recent events have happened, some things that you've been thinking about, and it's all pointing in the direction of, you want to be a certain way. You don't want to do certain things in your life, certain habits you want to get rid of. Think of one or two things that you would like to change for yourself in the next few days at least. Because this bond or this, tying of Rakhi is really about giving and taking between I, the soul, and God. Right? And what it is about is that if I'm convinced and if I'm determined to move on the path of purity, then God is waiting with his open arms to come and help me, to protect me, to help me move in that direction. Fair enough? Yeah. If I'm not ready, fine. There's no force. He's not going to force me. But if I realize something about my own self and my own life, that I need to change certain things, then don't hesitate. You know, make use of this relationship with God, this experience of this pure love that comes from him. And just reinforce this identity that I'm a pure soul by making some few little changes in your life. Maybe in the way you eat, maybe in the way you go to sleep at night, maybe in the way that you get up in the morning. Little things, that make a big difference for me, in terms of getting my life together in the right direction. For example, if you're sleeping late, for example, and we all know that morning hours are the best, for example, for meditation, right? So perhaps it may have something to do with how you're going to go to sleep, when you're going to go to sleep, when you're going to get up, and what are you going to do as soon as you get up. You're going to spend a few moments with yourself, reinforcing I'm a pure soul, meditation, you call it, or reading something beautiful, right? But take a little thought for yourself. Right? So when you are tying your Rakhi, you're not just doing it, okay, you listen to all of these beautiful things, but what am I going to go home with? So Raksha Bandhan means bond of protection. So I can get all the protection that I need, but I must take the first step of purity. Pure thoughts, pure attitude, pure vision, pure words, pure actions, all of that. And then you will see magic in this relationship with God. Yes? So we'll do a very short meditation and then we'll go on to the ceremony of Rakhi. Is that okay? Yes. Sitting quietly, I remember what we have just been talking about. These few moments, these sacred moments, are going to be moments of pure love. So I prepare for that. In my own private space. I find myself quiet, calm, And in this place, I invite the one who is ever pure, the one who is so overflowing with love and benevolence, the one whom I know wants the best for me, the one whose love doesn't stop at anything, making me my highest potential and purity. And in God's presence, I feel my own purity. As my original nature. Everything else came later. It's created and I am beautiful. And now I take a few moments to look at my life, look at my relationships, look at my deeds, my habits. How can I align all of those with I, with yours? Remember, any change you want to make, God is with you all the way. And no change is impossible. And nothing is difficult with God's help. So we will maintain balance and quiet and perfection. As we start the Rakhi ceremony.
We're going to invite anyone who wishes to come up and receive a Rocky and a Tilak from Sister Kala to easily and gently. Yes, you have a question? We're going to ask you to quietly, we go through our day and we forget who we really are. We forget we're souls. So I'd like to invite the Zoomers and the people here in person to feel it now. And if you can, stay till the end and watch everybody who chooses to receive a Rocky, including yourself, if you choose to, come up one at a time and feel everything that, have the experience of what Sister Kala has been talking about. So stay in what the tilak represents, that spiritual third eye, and save that feeling that you wish, we all wish we could maintain throughout the day. Let's start now with silence, with silent meditation, and with watching not people, but souls come up to Sister Kala. And we remember. Okay, so we'll form here one at a time. If you feel the urge to come up, please come on up on this way, gently, one at a time. You can form a little